UC Berkeley, which is publicly funded, hosted a graduation ceremony for black students only, an event the taxpayer-funded university has hosted every year since 2013. But critics say the event does more to divide students than to bring them together. Joining me now to talk about this is Leo Terrell, Fox News contributor and civil rights attorney. Leo, great to see you. Thanks for being here. You know, this is what the KKK used to do, isn't it? To segregate people by race. I mean, you know, progressives, that's why I hate that term progressives. It's regressive. It's going back to what we decided we didn't want in this country.
You and I are completely in agreement, David. Separate, inherently unequal. This is what people fought against 30, 40, 50 years ago. That's why we have the Civil Rights Act. I want to be as clear as possible. I'm embarrassed, David. I'm a civil rights attorney. I pride myself on judging people by contents of their character, not the color of the skin. That is illegal. That is a graduation solely based on skin color, and I find it offensive. The Democratic Party, David, why are they doing this? It's because they're pandering to the black vote, because they're losing the black vote. This is insulting, it's racist, and it's unconstitutional. If there was an all-white graduation party, you can imagine what would happen.
But how did this happen? I mean, I remember moves towards this going way back to the 1970s, but the whole concept of a university is bringing people together. I mean, the university is the ideal of bringing people from different backgrounds, different economic location, bringing them all together and seeing how they operate together. And it's a training ground for what happens when you go outside of the university and have to deal with the world itself.
David, yes, it was a training ground, and it started in the 70s, believe it or not, to indoctrinate, to basically turn college students into liberals, progressive, you want to call them, to challenge the governmental system. Listen, critical race theory came out of universities. I was in law school. Critical race theory was taught, introduced. You have this now, critical race theory is being brought up, and people being divided based on race, equity, inclusion. They are basically saying because of skin color, you're at a disadvantage. And this is a game the Democrats are playing because they're losing black votes. David, I was a Democrat. I left the Democratic Party when Joe Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. How insulting is that? But the Democratic Party, there is no Democratic Party if the black vote leaves. And that's what's happening.
There are these generalized racist attacks, I would call them racist attacks against black conservatives, because how dare you think on your own, think different from the way the general consensus, the liberal consensus is. We saw it with the View. I mean, they are representative of a certain segment of that group, the liberal elite. Let me just roll tape and tell you what Joy Behar said. Roll tape.
He's one of these guys who, you know, he's like Clarence Thomas, black Republican who believes in pulling yourself by your bootstraps, rather than, to me, understanding the systemic racism that African Americans face in this country and other minorities. He doesn't get it, neither does Clarence. Right. And that's why they're Republicans.
He doesn't get it. I guess that means Leo Terrell doesn't get it. You don't get what Joy Behar is telling you have to know.
And David, the insult is Joy is telling us that systemic racism exists in this country. That is a lie. You got black mayors in New York, Chicago, LA. You got people of color all over this country. But Tim Scott, he represents a threat to the Democratic black base, because he's an alternative. He's an alternative from government dependency to economic freedom, liberty. Tim Scott is poster boy #1 for the Democrats because he's a threat to the black base of the Democratic Party.
By the way, that is precisely what he said. I'm just going to put up on the screen a quote from him. He said, "I'm the candidate that the far left fears the most. I disrupt their narrative. I threaten their control. The truth of my life disrupts their lies." To which you would say what?
I would say he is exactly right. Listen, this man has a story to tell, and he has told the story about from cotton to Congress. You can make it in this country. No one's holding you back. There is no boogeyman who's holding back black Americans or brown Americans. You can make it in this country. Tim Scott is a perfect example of making it in America, and you don't have to be a Democrat, David. You can be a Republican.
Yeah.
I'm happier now.
Then finally, you have this NAACP attack on Florida. Just coinciding, not coincidentally, I'm sure, with the announcement from Ron DeSantis that he's running. And a lot of these people that are pushing this boycott of Florida live in Florida, and they vacation in Florida. They just came back from vacation. It's almost like somehow low taxes are racist. I mean, do you get that one?
Yeah. No, I don't get that. Listen, the NAACP is nothing more than an agent of the Democratic Party. Everyone knows that. I left the Democratic Party even when I was a Democrat. They're so far left. But here's the bottom line. Look at the black kids who are going to school in Florida. Their grade level, their achievement levels are higher than blue states because in Florida there's an opportunity for all people. They don't look at color. It is a classic example of the NAACP doing the dirty work of the Democratic Party.
Leo Terrell, boy, you know how to nail the time. Right on time. 4:23. Thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate it.